talk about something we don't hear enough about. Not aging gracefully, not retirement goals, not the jokes about aches, naps, or being out of touch. Let's talk about the real challenges of men facing 60 or being over 60. Because for a lot of men, this isn't a victory lap, it's a reckoning. And if you're a man over 60, listening right now, or you love one, you're not imagining it. This season can be heavy in ways no one really prepares you for. Hello and welcome to Turn It Up with your host, Al Maldonado. I appreciate you being here. It's a pretty important subject with men, especially over 60. I am personally a man over 60, and I have been given, not wantingly, the opportunity to experience all these challenges of being 60 and over. I just want you to know that I really appreciate you being here. If this message resonates with you, if it makes any sense, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. I'm going to ask you to like, subscribe, and share. I really appreciate it. So let's dive in. In chapter 1, we're going to talk about the loss of identity. For many men, identity has been tightly wrapped about doing the job, doing the role, being responsible, being the provider, and being the fixer. So what happens when the job ends or slows down? What happens when people stop asking your opinion, especially family, because you're older? It will slowly happen to some of us. We will take notice without saying a word. It will no longer be or feel the same when you're no longer needed. That can feel like a quiet eraser. Not dramatic, not loud, just subtle and painful. Look, you could still be capable, intelligent, and experienced, and yet feel invisible. No one is really at fault. Most of us were brought up to respect our elders. But the key word here is respect, not disregard. There's a difference. And here's the hard part. Most men were never taught to separate their worth from their usefulness. So when usefulness shifts, self-worth takes a hit. A huge silent hit. We're going into chapter 2, physical changes and silent grief. No one warns you about how emotional physical change can be. I have experienced it. Every single day I get to walk by a mirror. I see the changes. Some may see balding. Some may just see physical changes, gray hair, whatever. But we see a difference. We see ourselves as older. It's not just about the aches and pains or the slower recovery. Oofa. It's about losing trust in your body. The body that used to respond. The body that felt strong. The body that carried you without a complaint. Now there's hesitation. We say to ourselves, there was a day that I picked up just about anything. And now, freaking stiffness. Fatigue that doesn't go away with a good night's sleep. And most men over 60, if you're anything like me, we start getting up what seems like every 5 minutes for that bathroom run. It's exhausting, and it only adds fuel to the fire. Many men grieve this quietly, and I can pretty much bet you, at some point in time, you will find an older gentleman either sitting on a park bench or just sitting in his car. And I'm sure you're going to see this blank look on his face. Many men grieve this quietly because complaining feels weak, because slowing down feels like you're surrendering, because asking for help feels unfamiliar. I personally can attest to that. Or worse, humiliating. So instead, a lot of men just endure. Sometimes we put a fake smile on. make everybody think that we're good. Grief without language turns into isolation. For some, the end. Chapter 3, we're going to be talking about emotional isolation. Let's be honest with this one. Most men, 60 and over, don't have deep emotional outlets. They may have acquaintances, but most of us are not comfortable talking about these things. They may have family, but most men are brought up to be tough. We're the tough guys, we're the rock. So when it comes to real conversations, they are rare, if non-existing. Our friendships were often built around work, sports, routines, not vulnerability. And as life changes, retirement, loss, health issues, those connections thin out, if not lost totally. And then suddenly the days get quieter. The silence can be deafening. And loneliness doesn't always show up as sadness. Remember that fake smile? Or sometimes it shows up as irritability. Remember those old guys you used to deal with once in a while? Grumpy. Sometimes it shows up as withdrawal. Sometimes it shows up as restlessness, or just a numb sense of what now? We as men are less likely I should say, to say that we feel lonely, but many are thinking it. Chapter 4, relationship shifts. Relationships after 60 can change dramatically. You are obviously a different person now. Not because you wanted to be, but because it's just part of life. Marriages shift, long-term partners change. Some experience divorce later in life. Others lose a spouse or a companion. And then even in stable relationships, roles evolve, they change. You're not the same person you were at 30 or 40 years old. Your needs change, energy changes, expectations change. That can definitely bring a lot of confusion. How do I show up now? Who am I to this person today? Do I matter still in the same way? And when communication isn't a lifelong strength, such as myself, those questions can stay unspoken. In Chapter 5, we're going to talk about the fear of irrelevance. This one cuts deep. The world moves fast. Technology changes, culture shifts. It's absolutely easy to feel left behind. Not because you're irrelevant, but because the world doesn't always slow down to value wisdom anymore. Wisdom that took us years to build. There's a quiet fear that creeps in. Am I still useful? Do I still have something to offer? Does anyone really need me? The fear can make us men retreat, many times overcompensate, or just shut down emotionally. Chapter 6, we are going to talk about the pressure to be strong still. Here's the paradox. Even at age 60 or 70, us men still feel the need to feel strong, not to ask for help, not to show fear, and especially confusion. But strength changes as we age. It's no longer about lifting more, pushing harder. It's about adapting, reflecting, and letting go. And that kind of strength is rarely celebrated, even though it's the hardest kind to develop. Chapter 7, what doesn't get said but should? Men over 60 seem to think they need the permission to do the following. Permission to rest, permission to redefine success, permission to say, I don't know who I am right now. Permission to need a connection. Why, you may ask? Because we ultimately lose trust in ourselves. You are not weak in this session, this time of your life. It's a season. You are human. In this stage of our lives, it asks different questions. A lot different than when we were younger. It isn't not what can I build, but what matters now. Who do I want to be present for? What kind of legacy do I want? Not just materially, but emotionally. So here we are, the closing part. If you're a man over 60 listening to this, you are not invisible, and you still matter. Your value didn't expire with a job title or a younger body. Your presence, experience, and perspective still matter deeply. If you're watching this video as a spouse, as a partner, or as a friend, especially in this season of this man's life, ask him. Ask him how he's really doing. Listen without fixing and allow some silence. Make space for honesty. If he truly believes that you are really listening, he will come back. He will open up. I promise. This chapter in a man's life isn't about decline. It's about transition. And transitions are hard. But they also could be meaningful, grounding, and deeply human. Especially when we stop pretending that they are easy. So here we are. I'm going to ask you another favor. If you know a man over 60 or 60 years old with the same struggles, please share it with him. It may make the difference he's been wanting for a long time. Show you care. I appreciate you checking this video out. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next one.